Hello and welcome to the Real Women, Real Purpose talk show live in the On Purpose Woman magazine and global community Facebook page. I'm Ginny Robertson, one of the hosts of the Real Women, Real Purpose talk show, where we talk with real women who are living their lives on purpose and bringing their unique gifts to the planet. I'm also the founder and publisher of On Purpose Woman magazine and founder of the On Purpose Woman global community. My guest today is spiritual coach, healer, and hypnotherapist, Bessie Estonactoc. And we'll be talking about how to embrace the intuitive woo in you and shine your light. Thank you for being with me, Bessie.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Ginny. Thank you. So happy to be here.
I'm happy to have you. And I love this topic and I'm excited to dive into our conversation. But first, I want to tell our viewers a little about you. Bessie Estonactoc has been questioning the meaning of life from a very early age and has had psychic experiences that help her understand that there is more to the physical life we live. As an empath, Bessie has been on a mission to live a meaningful life and has done deep healing of mind, body, and spirit, and she continues to learn and expand her soul path. She has 20 plus years experience as a psychotherapist and has helped hundreds of women who were feeling anxious, stressed, and unhappy with their life to find peace, confidence, and joy. Now, as a spiritual coach, healer, and hypnotherapist, Bessie's passion has been supporting professional spiritual women in midlife to find inner peace and happiness in their life, no matter the circumstances. She's also helped women learn to trust their intuition and embody this gift in their daily life, and has helped her clients bridge the gap between 3D and 5D living. Just your bio alone has so much we could talk about, Bessie, and I know we could have hours of conversation, but we're going to hit the really high points today.
Okay.
Let's start with that word woo. I know what it means to me, and it's been used, it's almost like a term of endearment. Oh yeah, I'm kind of woo, or that's pretty woo. But before our conversation today, I looked it up on the Urban Dictionary, and they had some pretty uncomplimentary definitions of woo. So let's reframe woo in a really positive way and tell us what that means to you. And why do you use that in your description?
Well, we can say woo or woo-woo, right? But I really feel that it's, even though that definition in the Urban Dictionary says what it says, and I even have it, it's a outlandishly mystical, supernatural, or it's an unscientific, right? Yeah. But really, everybody's intuitive. And I will say intuition equals woo. But if we're all intuitive, then we're woo. And I don't see it. And it may be that, there's many that don't understand it because they're not really in that realm of understanding about intuition, or they don't know about it or understand it. But there's so many women that I know that are intuitive, that are woo. And it's a part of who we are. We're mind, body, spirit. And our spirit is how we live our life intuitively with that intuitive woo. So I think it's great, and I'm going to embrace it. And I think it's important to embrace that we are intuitive, we are woo, because that's who we are. That's who we are on a very, very soul level. That's who we are.
Yes,
yeah,
I agree with that. Thank you. And I think we need to kind of take that word back, right? and embrace it. And I would imagine that when some other women see that, they go, oh, I know what she means, or oh, I'm not the only one, or oh, it's kind of mainstream. You're making it a more mainstream kind of normal thing, right? Because as women, we are all intuitive. It's just that some of us trust it more than others. Some of us had the opportunity to get in touch with it more, correct?
Correct. Yes, absolutely. And, the women who come to me, the clients that come to me, have had experiences of being intuitive, but they don't know what to do with it. And so as I work with them, they understand how, because we're mind, body, and spirit, and our spirit and our soul actually holds that intuition right? And we get those intuitive hits, then we move forward in our physical life to be able to take that inspired action when we get those intuitive hits. Those woo hits.
Those woo hits.
Yeah.
I also love that you say take inspired action.
Mm.
Say a little bit more about that. How's that different from just taking action? Because we're supposed to take action, right?
Well, I look at that as how important it is to really be able to, rather than push, like, oh, I got to do this today. Oh, I have this on my to-do list. I have to go for it and just do it. And that's really coming from a place of hardship, of I don't know, pushing just comes to mind. But when you take the inspired action, you're grounded, you're centered, and you're in a place of peace. And when you're in that space, your intuitive hits can come through. And those, when you get those intuitive hits and take those inspired actions, then there's more flow to your day, and your body doesn't feel so stressed out. You know, your heart isn't racing, you're not tense, you're in that place of flow because you're trusting your intuition and taking the inspired action from that space.
I feel much better already. Yeah. And you said something that, let me see if I can recapture it here, because I was in the zone there for a minute, I think. When you talk about taking inspired action is different from pushing, that means that we have to be listening, we have to be paying attention, we have to get the message that says, that interests me, or maybe I should pick up the phone and call that person, and then come from that place, from that internal place, rather than the outward, all the noise that's outside of us. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, absolutely. And it is that place, that space of just being centered.
Yes.
Truly listen within. Yeah.
And life can become so much simpler and flowy. Like you said, everything starts to flow more, and we slow down our speech.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I'm taking inspired action right now because you say something, it's like, oh, that's not what I was going to say next, but I want to ask you this now. That's really, I think, a form of very simplistic inspired action, correct?
Yes.
Just listening to that voice that said, oh, I think this is what I want to know next from Bessie. But here's what I want to know next from Bessie that I have on my notes. You share a quote that you use that is one of my favorites as well, and it's from Pierre Teilhard de Chardin, who says, we are not human beings living a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings living a human experience. Why is it important that we make that distinction? And can you talk a little bit more about what that means?
Well, I'd like to be able to share a personal experience for myself. And I think that might, hopefully, will drive it home. You know, I truly feel that there is more to life than this life. And I've had intuitive experiences or psychic experiences where I would feel my mother's presence, or I could hear her talking to me on my intuitive ears, or there's just a deep knowing. And I've also had other experiences where I've had my father come to me, or my brother-in-law, or my father-in-law, or different family members. And so during my quest of understanding the meaning of life from a very early age, growing up, I really felt very alone. But I questioned, like, I was raised Catholic. Who is God? You know, is there a God? But with all the turmoil that goes on in the world, like, for example, John F. Kennedy assassination, it's like, well, why does that happen? That doesn't make any sense to me. But me growing up, I felt very alone. And, you know, I learned, and I just want to say, I learned so much from my parents. My parents were my teachers in a lot of ways, but little did I know that growing up. I felt alone. I felt I'm lonely. I felt abandoned, unloved, all those things. And for the longest time, I would blame, especially my father. I would blame that I was the way who I was because how my father raised me. You know, I would look and say, I'm feeling miserable because this has happened to me. But that didn't feel right. As I was growing up and doing my own work, I realized that I've I've there's a part of me that understands this on a deeper level, that I chose my parents for me to be able to be here in this life, to understand that I'm not a victim of my life. They were my teachers to teach me that I don't need to be a victim. I'm in this physical body, and knowing that there's more to this life than this physical life, I've learned that I've come back to this life to learn my own lessons, and I'm still learning, to learn my lessons to in this physical body, in this, and I'm experiencing it in this human body because of the spiritual lessons that I've learned living this life. And so I look at this now as I'm not a victim in this life. I'm victorious. I've learned to become victorious, knowing that I can choose now in this life, in this path that I'm taking as a spiritual being living in this human body, that I can take the road of learning how to be more in compassion for myself, compassion for others, and really loving myself unconditionally. You know, it's tough sometimes, but really coming back to that compassion. And so as you say that quote, it resonates with me so deeply, because I really want to have people understand that we have come back here to be able to have another chance and to let go of blame. That is, other people have made you who you are right now, and know that you can take the 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 steering wheel and be in that driver's seat and choose to be able to live this life that's abundantly full of joy, of love, of flowing abundance, and that we have that choice. We have that choice in this life right now. I hope that answers a question.
I think it does, and it sparks a whole bunch of other ones. Past lives, you're talking about the idea that we have been here before, maybe many, many, many times, and we come back to learn lessons and to heal
Yes.
more and more and more. What would you say to someone who either isn't aware of past lives or doesn't really know whether it's true or not, or maybe thinks it's even kind of weird? How can we still embrace this body and this spiritual being in this body? Do we have to buy into the idea that we know we've been here before or whatever? Because I think to me, past lives make sense of everything. But I'm
Yeah.
wondering, I know there are a number of people who just don't even either know about it, or they don't think it's possible, or they don't understand it. They don't have to like skip all this, right? They can still get to this place that you're talking about, do you think, without fully embracing the idea?
Of past lives?
Yeah. Or not, maybe not.
Well, you know, I have you heard of Dr. Brian Weiss?
Oh yeah, he was my introduction to this whole thing.
Right. Yes. And
Back when he first wrote that book, I actually went into a study group on the book. I was so entranced by it all. Yeah.
yes, yeah. He, you know, he was a practicing psychiatrist for many years, and doing hypnotherapy. And then he started getting and these clients that came to him had anxiety, depression, you know, all of those sorts of, challenges. And then all of a sudden, when they went into a trance, they started talking about past lives. And Dr. Weiss trusted that, and he allowed that process to happen with his first client, second, etc. And these clients were able to understand, oh, that's where it stemmed from. They followed the breadcrumbs to that depression or to that fear, a fear of dying or whatever. And to be able to understand it from that place, that, wow, it even goes back even further than this life. And so I would say that there are going to be some that may not agree, or that, it's kind of like, really? Can we go into that? But, having the understanding that, first of all, if it resonates with you, if there is an aha, well, maybe there's a possibility. I'd like to be open to it. What is a challenge that I'm, concerned about right now that I really haven't been able to reconcile? And it could be that a past life regression session could be a possibility to be open to that, especially if you're bumping up against something that is consistently there on a daily basis. Yeah. And so when you can, I think, being open to it, and if it's, I think, resonating, I think that's the biggest thing. It's if you're open and resonating, then trust that intuition, trust that it's possibly a soul nudge, that this is a way that you can possibly learn more about yourself to open up more possibilities in your life.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you for that. And if anybody is curious, the book that Dr. Weiss wrote, the first book is called Many Lives, Many Masters. Check it out and see, because it's a pretty remarkable book. And he risked a lot, because I believe he was head of the psychiatric department at a teaching hospital in Florida,
Yes.
if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So he risked a lot by going public with it, but then helped so many people.
Yeah, he followed his woo.
Thank you for following me down that little rabbit hole, that little side trip I didn't know we were going to take. But let's get back to this whole idea of living this spiritual life in this human body. And I know that your passion is helping professional business women in midlife kind of bridge that gap between their physical life and their spiritual life. You've talked a little bit already why this is important, why it matters. What are some of the things that you see happen with women when they do this work, or when they start to get in touch with it? Especially when I picture busy midlife professional women, I picture a lot of frazzled women, or stressed women, or overworked women, or confused women that are coming for help. So how do you help them?
Well, there is a part of them that, first of all, that wants more clarity in their life, and they want more peace, and they want to be able to find some tools to be able to find that peace and that clarity. One client that comes to mind was someone that came to me. Actually, he was working full-time, but something happened early in her life. And so a past life could be a life earlier in this life, or it could be a life before this life. But for her, when we did a hypnotherapy session, she didn't realize this, but she was not able to reconcile not being there when her sister died. And she wasn't available to be there for her when she was going through her own turmoil. Another part of her was that she felt like she needed to fix everything. because her mom was always trying to fix. So that was also a behavior pattern that she was, really trying to live in her life. So it was trying to fix her relationship with her husband, with her sister, with her mother. All that was just really being pounded on her. And she was working full time and had kids that were in school. Through the hypnotherapy session, she was able to find out that she needed to let go of having to control everything, because that control was overtaking her relationship with her mother, her kids, her husband, and the guilt that she felt because she wasn't able to be there for her sister. And once she was able to understand that it was a learned behavior of control, because that's how her mother raised her, it was like she felt like a sovereign human being, like, this is not me. This is learned conditioned behavior from my childhood. And once she did that, oh my gosh, her relationship with her husband is better, with her kids. She's, flowing and really living a life with her work in a very grounded way. She's very in tune with herself, because she's let go of all those old stories of how she was supposed to be, to now being just, and I want to say, a sovereign human being, a sovereign woman, and knowing that she has choice. She has taken the driver's seat, and she's steering that wheel and driving that wheel in the course that she wants to be able to go. And I am just so happy that she's been able to be at a space to do that. And she forgave herself for their sister. And it was just a beautiful thing, just a beautiful, I can tell even more stories than that.
I'm sure you can.
Yeah.
I resonate with that one because I've had some experience in the past about being in that controlling driver's seat. And for one thing, it's exhausting and we're not much fun to be around. So relationships do suffer. Yeah. And there's always anxiety around, am I doing it right? Is everybody okay? Did I get everything right? And so what a gift. Yeah. What a gift to have that healed within her. And wow. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. That was, I also like the reminder of what it, because sometimes we can get used to our new state and not realize how far we've come. Have you had that experience where you kind of go, oh, I was born like this? It's like, this took some work, and this took some years, to get to this place. So
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So let's talk more about this whole idea of 3D and 5D living, because I would imagine there's some people watching who may not think about the fact that we have a 5D life. I mean, 3D, we all know about that, right? That 3D is what we're doing right now. We're just living, we're doing what's in front of us. We're talking on Zoom, and that's our 3D life, right?
Right. Yeah.
So what's the difference? And talk about how we can live more in that 5D place.
Let me try to explain it using a personal experience, if that's okay.
That's the best way. Thank you.
Okay. So I definitely lived a 3D life for many, many years. I mean, there was always, material wealth, gain, possessions, blah, 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 all that, And then in my own, of course, we have to live this life and feel, come and be and feel abundant, right? And know that infinite abundance is around us. But if it's pushing to have that material gain and not really tuning into those inspired actions, then it's 3D living. For myself, I felt that I needed to be happy if I had those things. And then growing up, it's like, okay, got the car, got the house, got this, got that. Am I happy? So then during the course of my own soul growth, I realized that when we can live this human life in 3D, but come from a place of 5D, then life feels more expansive and happy and abundant and loving and all those words. So when I say 5D, the fifth dimension, well, let me go back. 3D is this life. 4D is that you're questioning, oh, there's more to life than just this life, right? When you're starting to question the 4D, in 4D, then you go into the 5D where it's like, oh, I can be in meditation and tap into the light of who I am. And when I can be that light, my soul is lit up. I can be in that place of trusting my path in my life, that the universe is always there for us, never against us. I was always against myself in my 3D living. And that I can be in a place knowing that I can unconditionally love myself and others, my path in my life. I can trust that path in my life because I know that I'm trusting in that 5D, 5 dimension, which is my guides. I know that my mother is one of my guides. My angels, I call it spirit team. We all have a spirit team, and because there's more to this life, right? We have a spirit, we have guardian angels that watch over us, and we can understand that, knowing that you can, if you want to go into meditation and really tune into the light of who you are and imagine that, and it just feels so wonderful to be in that space, but then to also tune into your guides and listen and take the inspired action with the nudges that you're given. It could be also your higher self or your soul. We're coming from that space of expansiveness, knowing that we can trust that there's something bigger than us in this life. And when we can trust that, when we get those inspired downloads from our guides, from our higher self, and from our soul, then we can embody that in this 3D life. And then your 3D living with 5D is like this as opposed to like this.
Okay. I was going to ask you next, can it be challenging to navigate and to merge those two? It takes practice. It takes
It
time,
does.
correct?
Yeah. Yes. And when you think about it, going back to the learned behaviors. So, for example, those conditions, the conditioning, our brain has all these, I call it synapses. And they're ways of thinking and being from way, way long ago, from this life or past life. And so our brain, and we think thousands and thousands of thoughts a day. When, first of all, you can be at a place to understand that it takes patience. It's not like this. It's a journey. It's a journey. But when you can start and you can go into meditation and really learn how to be calm, to listen to your thoughts, to be aware of your thoughts, you can actually learn to rewire your brain with the new thoughts that you want to be able to live in this life. And so that's where it's really bridging the gap of learning your 3D, I guess, thoughts, old stories, and how to be able to trust your intuition, learning how to put that together in that trust and be able to, slowly live new behaviors, think new behaviors, and feel new behaviors. It's all a process and a path. And that's why I love having been a therapist, for many years, that I've learned, and there's so much more to learn about the brain, but learned the psychological human brain thinking of things. But I really wanted to bridge that gap with the spiritual, because if we're just constantly, okay, this is what I'm going to learn, this is what I'm going to do, new behaviors, new path, and you're not really listening to any downloads or trusting your intuition, your higher self, then again, it's pushing.
Mm-hmm.
It's the pushing.
Yeah, trying to make it happen, which happens. I mean, my early experience in therapy is that I was very therapy savvy, and I kind of knew how to, which is kind of a silly thing to say because I was there to get help, but yet I wanted to be smart about it. I wanted to have the answers. I was playing this role almost. And this, because this therapist wasn't the right fit for me. And so I thought, how much longer are we going to talk about this? This is like, I'm done with this. She goes, oh no, you're not done with this. But I was feeling like I needed to expand into something else. I don't know if that makes sense or not.
Yeah. And that's, yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
I was feeling that being a therapist. And mind you, I think many people, it works for them to be in therapy.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But for me, I love to work with women who are really questioning the meaning of life.
Mm-hmm.
And understanding it in a bigger, expansive way. And knowing that there's more than just, this.
Mm-hmm.
There's the expansive spiritual way of looking at our life path, our soul path. And when you can integrate that together, it just feels more of a beautiful flowing river. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
get that. And
Yeah.
you described it beautifully, because I think it could feel like you've got to do this 3D thing, and you've got to do this 5D thing, and you have to leave one to do the other. But the idea is that we really need to merge so that we're living just one life and it becomes natural to us, right?
Right. Yeah. So can I share another story?
Of course. Can I tell you something really quick, though?
Yeah.
That I don't want to lose this thought either. So you hold your thought. Are you familiar with Sarah Baum Brothnick and the Simple Abundance book that came out a few decades ago?
Yes, I am. Yes.
She wrote a second book that didn't do nearly as well as the first book. And I don't know that a lot of people saw it, but it was called Something More.
Oh, I
And it
never
was
heard.
about excavating the spirit or something, excavating your soul. And she talked what you're talking about, particularly midlife women who wake up and go, is this all there is? I think there's something more.
Yeah.
So I've always loved that term, excavating. We're like digging, we're like doing a little treasure hunt, or a kind of looking what's underneath all this. And that's what you help women do
Yes.
so
Yeah.
beautifully.
Yeah. 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 I truly love doing this work, and I know that this is my sole purpose.
Mm-hmm. It's so obvious.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a beautiful thing. And I just wanted to share a story real quick that
Yes,
actually
please.
gives the idea of 3D and 5D, which is interesting. When I was working as a counselor, I also was a therapist. So I had my private practice. And then at the time, it was actually dwindling, because this is around the time when my mom passed away. And I had lost a lot of clients because I, was really needed to make sure I was there for my mom.
Mm-hmm.
And my husband was laid off 3 times. And so after my mom passed, it was like, okay, he couldn't find a job then. I found a job so quickly. I said, okay, I'm going to go find a job. And it manifested so fast, less than a month. It ended up being that I worked at an army base. So imagine me, my son was in the Air Force, but I've never worked on an installation before. And I thought, well, I'm going to trust that this is where I'm supposed to be and supposed to go. And when I first stepped onto an army base, I felt like I was in another land. I mean, it was just so interesting to me. And at the time, I was really doing a lot of meditating then. And what I found out was that through my meditation, I was able to be grounded enough to really be there for the soldiers and the leadership in a way that was very authentic, and that I wasn't in my mind about, oh my God, I'm in an army base and everything's so strict and structured and da 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 da. I went to work really grounded in my body, but I meditated every day to ask for guidance, to ask for inspiration. And when I would go to work, I really felt like I was there to serve.
Mm.
And when I was there, knowing that I was in this human body, really being the spiritual being, just serving, I really felt so, I learned so much, but I also felt like I helped in the way that I could. And so there wasn't any pushing. I was just there, and my presence with the soldiers and the leadership just felt just right. And I felt really, really, it was a very, I learned to speak in front of thousands. I learned to speak with, the leadership, the lieutenants, the brigade command. I mean, it was like I was able to really expand. That was why I was there.
Wow. Yeah.
That was
And
why
it took a lot of trust on your end to say, this is the right place for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
your 5D tools to be even more effective in this 3D environment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was very, very 3D.
Very 3D. Yes, I can imagine. I can imagine.
Yeah.
Well, Bessie, I know you have a masterclass coming up, and I would love for you to tell everybody about that and how they can learn more about what it is that you offer.
Yes. So the masterclass is this Thursday at 9 Pacific. And then on Monday, I believe it's at 4 Pacific. I will give you the link later because I don't have it accessible. But it's called Clearing Worthiness and Visibility Blocks to Attract Clients. Mm. So if you're a spiritual businesswoman, coach, or healer, I know that for myself, this was a learning experience for me to let go of any past life stories or stories that prevented me from really being visible, and knowing that what I had to share with the world was my soul path. But there was like that push pull. Oh, I don't know if I can, And so this masterclass is learning about how to learn to bridge that gap between 3D and 5D, understanding where are some places that you're feeling challenged about being visible and feeling worthy, that what you have to share is not important, because it is important. And if your intuition has led you to a place where you have a business, or you are at a job that you need to attract clients, but there's this nudge that you're having, this is a place to be able to learn how to clear any blocks that you have about that. And it's a 90-minute master class each day, Thursday and Monday. And I want to say that each of us has a purpose in this life. And you have an intuitive nudge about the passion that you have. And that's your soul path in this life. But if you're holding back and feeling like there's some blocks that's not getting you to the next level of being able to attract those clients, it's important to look at those blocks, the visibility and the worthiness blocks, because when you can let go of that energy, and once that's released, and take the inspired action and those nudges with confidence and courage, that your path is important. And when you can align that with knowing that your blocks have been cleared, the sky's the limit. The sky's the limit.
I
Yeah.
will, to our viewers, I will put the link in as soon as I get it from Bessie. So look in the comments and you'll find the link there. And Bessie, is it two separate master classes or is it the same master class both days?
It's the same master
They can't
class.
make it on Friday, they can go on Monday.
Yeah, what I wanted to do is have it available in the morning Pacific time and then in the evening on Monday, so that it could be accessible to people through their schedule. And yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like a wonderful opportunity to really dive deeper into what we've been talking about since 2:00 today. So thank you. Thank you for that. And
Yeah.
before I wrap up, is there anything you'd like to leave our viewers with? Either you want to hone in on a point you've already made or just some piece of wisdom that you want to make sure that they get.
Yeah. I think it's important to remember that all of us have infinite potential, and that when we can tap into those old stories from either this life or past life that are getting in the way, I call it excavating the soul. Learning how to be able to release that, knowing that you're no longer a victim. You don't have to choose that any longer. You can be in the driver's seat to choose how you want to live this life. Then you'll feel much more aligned, more free, and just more of you. More of you. And when I say you, I mean your authentic self, your soul. And I want that for everybody, knowing that we can choose in a matter of this if we chose that. And it's a matter of trusting that. And it's possible. I've seen it happen with many of my clients. It's possible to be that sovereign being, to release those stories and say, this is me. Look at this. That's what this is.
Yes.
This is me.
Yes.
Yeah.
And sovereign being, I've never heard anyone use that in that way before. I do love that so much.
Yeah.
So thank you. Thank you. I've enjoyed this conversation. You've reminded me of things. You've opened my eyes on some other things. And just thank you for sharing your passion and for doing such important work. I really appreciate you.
I appreciate you, Ginny. Thank you for this platform. I
You're
appreciate
welcome.
that. Yeah. Yes.
And I want to thank the rest of you for joining us for the Real Women, Real Purpose talk show live in the On Purpose Woman magazine and global community Facebook page. If you love this interview and you want to share it with your friends, you can actually do it from this magazine page, and it will also be up on our YouTube channel in the next 48 hours. So go over to the On Purpose Woman global community on YouTube, subscribe, and you might want to sign up for notifications. There are over 120 inspiring, informative, and fun shows for you to watch on our channel. And in May, we started sharing the videos of the speakers at our On Purpose Woman Global Community Zoom gatherings. You can actually find a talk that Bessie did for our community on this topic where she probably said some different things. So listen to Bessie again and you'll get some more additional information. Have one more, I believe we only have one more interview in August. And on Monday, August 15th, I'll be talking with Jacqueline Ryan about how to protect your loved ones and hire a caregiver, not a scare taker. And Jacqueline is speaking from personal experience. You can always find out what's coming up on the Real Women, Real Purpose talk show by going to opwgc.com and clicking on Purpose Woman magazine. Look for the spread in the table of contents. And while you're there, check out the On Purpose Woman global community. Thank you again for watching the Real Women, Real Purpose talk show. Here I am, not able to find what I need to do.